welcome everybody to Parallel Session 4, and I'm delighted to welcome Renuga Jayakumar, who is presenting for her team. The other two members can't be here, but Bernadette Byrne and Andrew Piper have worked with Renuga on this work within the School of Computer Science.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Helen. Good afternoon, everyone. Just as a team, today I would like to present our experience, like we would like to share our experience on using the innovative feedback system for our online MSc course this year. In higher education, normally in education, a feedback is considered as an important tool which helps the students to enhance their learning process. With the help of technology as well, the level of delivering the feedback has improved a lot. So for our research, our team decided to explore on the use of audio feedback for a MSc online course for contemporary issues in information technology. Contemporary issues in information technology this year. Actually, this cohort has got approximately 100 students. Why we plan to do the studies? Because mainly last academic year, 2016, our NSS survey results for School of Computer Science has not been that great because only 45.08% of the students are very happy about the feedback what they have received. So we would like to improve the experience of the students on getting the feedback, as well as we would like to work more on, within our practice, how we could help the university to improve the score in that area. When we did some research, many studies has informed about, they have reflected positively on the feedback, like audio feedback, on the use of audio feedback. So we decided to go with the audio feedback. We thought to use video feedback, audio, or written feedback. But we decided to, because of the time commitment, we plan to have audio as well as a written feedback. For the audio feedback, we have used Audacity, which is an open source software, and the module leader has uploaded the feedback onto the StudyNet as MP3 files. Actually, the module has got two assessments. First one was a presentation where the students are going to submit their presentation files online through StudyNet, which consists of normally 10 slides with a note session to support their presentation. And the second assignment was a coursework where they are going to produce a 2,000 words essay, and also they are going to submit it through the StudyNet. Two people have marked this marked the courseworks. The module leader, the Bernadette, and then Mike Pickup, another teaching member of the staff who marked these things. Actually, for both the coursework, they have split the whole group into two groups, and then they have used audio feedback for one group, and then they have used the written feedback for another group. And for the second coursework, those who have received the written feedback, they have received the audio feedback, and then those who have received audio feedback has received a written feedback. Just actually, they got two different types of feedback within this module. This is an example of feedback they have given, like the traditional written feedback, which exactly outlines the positivity of the students' work, and then they the feedback actually matches with the grading criteria where they fit into it. And audio feedback, maybe we could listen to the audio feedback now. An example of audio feedback has been attached here.
Dear student, thank you for submitting this presentation. This was submitted under the number 13002879, and you chose the topic of the need for intellectual property rights. You used 10 slides. You had a good explanatory opening slide talking about 4 fundamental categories of intellectual property. Slide 2. Slides 2 to 6 go through the timeline for music. So you've actually used 4 slides to talk about vinyl cassette tapes, compact discs, MP3 players, and iTunes and streaming, and the copying methods and the correction techniques. So although this is useful, it does mean that you've spent a lot of the slides talking about one particular example to the detriment of talking about the other examples which you could have used, in particular software and the issues with intellectual property on software. You do go on to talk about open source software, and your slides on open source software are a little messy. For example, slide 8, you have advantages and disadvantages, and the numbering is uneven. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 on one side, and then on the disadvantages you've got number 1, 2, 3, 1. This gives the impression that you haven't actually proofread the slides. On slide 9, you explain the 4 main ethical theories with the title, Is it ethical for people to download digital material illegally? Again, I don't think this has been proofread, and it gives the impression it's been rushed, because although there are 4, they're all numbered number 1. Also, what is on the slide is mainly descriptive. In the slide notes, you have given some analysis of each of the ethical theories, but it is not on the slide. The slide is just mainly descriptive. If you remember, in the assignment briefing sheet, it says the presentation should stand on its own. That is, an audience should be able to follow the argument in the presentation, and you can use the notes as supplementary information. However, in this case, a lot of your slides are very descriptive with little analysis, although there is some in the notes. You do have a good explanation of fair use policies. There are limited references in the presentation and the notes, and the main reference you have used is the recommended textbook. I have awarded this presentation 55%, which falls into the good stroke satisfactory banding on the postgraduate marking scheme. The presentation required more critical analysis, and the slides on the whole were fairly descriptive, and most of the analysis was put in the notes. Also, got the impression that the presentation was rushed due to some messy slides with incorrect numbering. When it comes to the second piece of coursework, you should ensure that you do have a more extensive reference list and use the Harvard referencing system, which is the referencing system recommended by the university. You can find information about it on the university web pages. For the essay, you need to cover a lot of points in 2,000 words, which is part of the exercise. In order to do this, you do need to do the research and structure the essay. So you need to give this some thought, and to improve your mark for the second piece of coursework, you would need to include more analysis as well in the essay. Okay, thank you.
So this kind of feedback has been given to the students. Where the students were unaware of what type of medium they are going to get as a feedback. So half of the group, those who have received the audio feedback, they were very happy about what they have received, and mostly the students have reacted differently most of them, they have complained about the detail of the feedback, what has been received through the audio format. They have mentioned about they have complained about it's not been fair because one group of students are getting the audio feedback and other group of students are getting the written feedback. And they have mentioned about the feedback has to be consistent across the overall group, not partially divided into groups and all. But as those who have received the audio feedback, they have very happy, and then they have mentioned about the audio feedback was very helpful, and then they acknowledged that the time taken to recorded it. On a whole, most of them, they were, those who have received audio feedback, very happy about what they have received. These are some of the challenges. As I said, the students were not happy about the written feedback, what they have received at the for the first assignment. And other challenge has been faced by the module leader, actually, who recorded the audio feedback. Actually, she quite enjoyed delivering the audio feedback because she felt that it was very quicker and easy to easy to give the feedback. But she had some challenges as well. The challenges she need to have a quieter environment where to record the audio feedback. And other thing is getting familiarized with use of the technology. These are the two things she has had. And other thing is when, for the second coursework, she had a real challenge, actually. She couldn't able to give the audio feedback for 10 of the students, those who are supposed to receive it. It's due to the technical problem. That also be considered there. And with the help of Canvas, I guess, this year we are going to explore more on this. With the help of Canvas, as Helen has presented before, it's going to be more useful, and it's very easy to, it's time-saving, actually, to press the button and record the audio and then save it. No need to upload the files separately. We have got an ethics approval to be done as a longitudinal study to work on this feedback in future. Okay, so next year we are going to use the audio feedback for 2 courses, and we are planning to work on that to see how the students are working on it and what the experience the students are facing, whether they are very happy about the audio feedback, what they are going to get, and then we are going to consider to use it as a data analyst. We would like to work on that in future as well. The results so far, actually, we have done a survey with the MSc group. Only 12 responses we have got, even though we have a very large group. 12 responses so far, and we couldn't have much data to analyze on that. But these are the responses as a qualitative feedback we received from the students' side. They find it more personal. The students find this audio feedback as more personal than the written feedback. And then some of them, they have mentioned about the feedback was really pleasant to listen and was able to connect with the module and then the tutor, especially because it's an online course. Some of them, they have expressed their feeling about the gap, a bridging gap, how the audio feedback is supporting. And some other person has expressed about the extra effort what the marker is taking to record the feedback. And some other persons, some of them, they have expressed about, when they are listening the feedback, a difficulty of going back to check it again. It is not like a written feedback, just simply looking at it and then going through over and over it. In case if it is an audio feedback, they have to go back and then they have to work on it. So some of them, they have concerned about that as well in the written, as an audio feedback. This, with the help of 12 responses, when we worked on it, we received this is how they have used audio feedback as a more useful, as well as how they find the text feedback as a more useful one. There is not much difference on the usefulness of the feedback what they have received. When compared this one, like in text feedback, at least 9% of them are at least express their disagreement on the feedback what they have received, whereas on the audio feedback, those who have received the audio feedback, they said 0% of disagreement so far. Maybe if we got more responses, maybe the result might vary, but whatever we have got so far, this is what it is. And then we also just try to check on which type of feedback they find it more personal. So that also clearly shows that audio feedback, most of the students, not most, just within the 12, okay, so 58% of them have preferred like audio feedback is more personal than a text-based one. And then we also had a question of what type of preferable feedback. We have received like 59% of them preferred to receive audio feedback in future than text-based feedback, which is quite a contrast results from Helen from the previous presentation, actually. And 8% of them, they have mentioned about there is no difference between audio and text-based feedback. They won't mind about which type of feedback they would like to have it. These are some of the examples we have taken for our research. These are the already existing research papers who have worked on the audio feedback. Most of all the papers, they have positively reflected on the use of audio feedback, actually. This is the summary. As a whole point, the students express their happiness, and then we receive a positive response from the students as a whole group. And but the thing is, like, even though they're saying it's more personal, they consider the audio feedback as more personal because the students were marked anonymously. The module leader has to use the the student number than the name to make it more personal. And as I said before, like we are going to do the study further this year as well as a longitude study. So we have got 2 modules in semester A and 2 modules in semester B, where we are going to make use of audio feedback as well as the written feedback in detail and to get more data to work on it. Thank you very much.
Okay, any questions?
Yes.
I think this is really interesting, and I would love to try it, but I'm also worried. I've got a friend who's got a hearing disability, and she wouldn't be able to receive this type of feedback, but because you've got anonymous marking, there's no way to apply like a study needs agreement, for example, in a situation like this. Maybe this is something you need to take forward to the study net people, but how would you deal with that situation if somebody had a strong preference for written feedback or they couldn't hear?
Actually, what we could, as a plan, what we could do is like we can have a survey before the delivery of feedback, like getting the expectation, what the students are expecting to receive, like what type of feedback they would like to expect. So, and then we can work on it. Or we are also considering, because as I said, like some of the students, they said like going back to get back what, it's a bit difficult to go back to hear the audio feedback. So we are thinking about providing the audio feedback as well as the written feedback, like a recorded one, kind of, but we have to explore on that area, actually, because that is our idea, basically, to whenever we are recording, at the same time, it will be get automatically written type, otherwise it's going to be more time-consuming. We are working on it, but we have to work on, yeah.
It's important for us to think about, not only for audio and video feedback, but also for lecture capture. So if we're making more videos, if we're using more tools, then actually how can we use closed captions at the bottom or transcribing? And we run some trials within the Learning and Teaching Innovation Centre using things like Panopto. They have their own service. So we're testing a few things out at the moment. But I think that kind of point of could we ask students to identify which preference of feedback they would like at one point, and then within Canvas you could identify early on the preference, and then you can still mark anonymously and it would just indicate which preference they've chosen. You wouldn't at that point know the student. So there's some options, aren't there, within that, but it's such an important point.
Yeah.
Steve?
Yeah. So, you know, are you comparing like that? Because in the very first slide you gave an example of some written feedback.
Yeah.
But that was incredibly generic. I mean, nothing in that written feedback said anything specific about the student's work. Whereas the recording, you're talking about slides 2 to 6, slide 8 being messy,
Yep.
something like that. So, in a way, just the quality of this, but I mean, were you comparing equally detailed written feedback with very detailed audio feedback, or were we just comparing rather generic written feedback with very, very detailed?
Yeah. The examples of the feedback which has been given in the slides are the first coursework, actually. So the marker who has preferred to mark traditionally, that was the feedback given to the students, and then the person who, like the module leader who recorded the feedback. When we work on this, we notice like 2 to 3 minutes of audio feedback, which points out the strength of the students as well as to make some improvements on the work to feed forward for the next next assignment. So that is the model she has followed. Due to the same reason what you have mentioned about, the students have reacted on that particular point of it, saying that the levels of feedback what they have received, that as a criticism we can say like we learn from that process actually, and then we make the second marker who is going to do the marker who is going to give written feedback to have a consistent level of feedback. So at for the audio or whether it's written feedback. So the level of consistency, what they are looking at, because it seems the students have complained about, it seems like a very generic on what the strength of the students' work and not on much on the improvement of how they could improve to the next level. So for the second coursework, they have addressed that actually. And then we received a positive reaction on that basis actually.
Maddie?
How do you moderate it? Because usually you moderate the coursework. So if you're giving audio feedback for the second marker, then they have to listen and agree on that?
Yeah, actually the moderator for this module has happy to go with this, so he was very happy to moderate it. So I haven't have much enough information for you to inform about whether the module leader has received any things from the moderator regarding this type of feedback, what she has used.
Certainly within the video feedback within Canvas, Madhu, we were quite clear to the markers, there were 4 markers, to try and limit the video feedback to 2 minutes and to have very clear guidance about that. Now, where you've got a failed assignment, it was actually very hard to limit to 2 minutes because you want to provide more detail about why it hasn't passed. So we did find a couple of assignments went over to 3.5 minutes. We had one marker who was giving sort of 5 minutes, and we came back and said, no, I'm afraid you've got to re-record. We've got to try and create a consistency. And again, the moderator was then asked to look at that in terms of the timing, the length of the feedback, and the types of video feedback we were giving. So it's a learning process, isn't it? Learning a new tool and learning to give feedback in a different way. But having some parameters, I think, is really important within it.
I was just wondering from the marker's point of view, that in order to give, especially with an essay rather than necessarily the slide presentation, I'm just thinking about the extra work that's involved for a marker, that would you effectively find yourself marking it and then having, so, you know, because if you mark, you often maybe would give comments, you know, word comments at the same time. So was the marker finding themselves having to do that? Because then to give quite detailed audio feedback, you need to keep looking back at the piece of work you're marking. So did it end up with double work?
Actually, the person who has recorded the audio feedback for this module, she find it quite happy about it, and then she find it like less time than written feedback. That's what her feeling is, because we had only one marker in this area. So that is her experience on that. Maybe she has looked at the essay and then she started recording about it. When she's recording, just she flipped through the coursework like that.
That was our experience as well. So I think we only gave video feedback on a relatively short assignment. So it was a 1,000-word reflection. We wouldn't, I don't think, have given feedback on a 3,000-word journal article because we didn't want it to give far more detailed feedback and actually at the points within the article that you want to write. So again, I think it's about thinking about why you're choosing that mode of feedback and how it's going to be beneficial.
I just wanted to say, I have just funded some time ago, and I've done a large-scale study on using audio, not just memes, across 13 schools, 2 institutions. And just what you said, we found that we looked at the tutor and the student experiences. And with the tutors, we found they were telling us that when they marked, they wrote the comments, and then they wrote a summary of the feedback, and then they were using that summary to read when making the recording, and then they were listening to the recording and they were re-recording based on their, whether they were getting the point across and so on. So I think, and there's also there's a guy called Bob Rotherham has done a lot as well with audio feedback in the past, in about 2009-10, and there were some similar findings there. And it was interesting. The other thing what I found really interesting was this: the tone of voice. We have very different people from very different countries, giving feedback, and students commented on. They felt they were being told off and so forth. And if you then look at some of those voices, tone of voice, seem to be very important.
Yeah, actually, when we did the research as well, we have noticed all the feedback, all the points what you have mentioned about the tone of the voice, as well as the length of the feedback. And then some of them, as I mentioned, the marker is very happy about what she has done here. But the thing is, like, some of them, they have to write down the summary, and then they have to record it, and then in case if there is something goes on, they have to re-record it. So considering that as a time, it's considered as a time-consuming process instead of traditional feedback where we are just writing out, making the summary. So some of them, they had that kind of disadvantage as well. But as I said, like, for this learning process, the person who marked this one, she's very happy about it, and then she was like, it's more useful, like she felt like it's time-saving than time-consuming process. Because only 2 of them have involved in this marking, so we haven't got much exploration on that particular area of how it's going to be. Maybe in future we would try to mention that as well to get more data on that.
Okay.
Oh, just
yeah.
Sorry, one follow-up question actually about tone. What about accent? Because people have different accents, regional accents, and particularly, I guess, international students might not be able to pick up on them. I know when my wife watches anyone from Newcastle on television, we have to put subtitles on. From Glasgow, actually very strong accents. How would you deal with that?
We are in the learning process, actually. So when we think about using the audio feedback, that time also we started to research on some kind of supporting both audio as well as the written feedback format kind of. We tried with some softwares like automatic audio to voice to text conversion kind of stuff, which is not that much very happy. We are not happy about that one. So we just started off with doing only audio as well as written feedback for different things. Maybe in future we will try on that. Otherwise, we are going to work on it. That's it. Maria.
It's just an observation. I think it's a very useful pilot, and but I think the issue of accent applies the other way around as well, because I have an accent, and I don't feel that I would record feedback because I don't know if I like my accent. Actually, I don't like my accent. But I think the main point is what Helen was alluding to earlier, is learner preference. And I think this type of work opens amazing doors for us to be able to tailor the experience of learners in the same way that I prefer to read the transcript of a TED talk than watch it. But as someone who is learning, I have the opportunity to choose the format I want. So we have to, I think, experiment with different formats and then let the learners, where possible, select how they will engage with the feedback, I guess.
I think that's the ultimate, isn't it?
Yes, there's the dream, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. It is now lunchtime, so lunch should be outside, I'm hoping so. We are starting back this afternoon at 13:45 with a plenary back in here. So if we could just thank Renuga again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.